All right, this is the Weekend Report, and I am Masachaba Mposwa. These are live visuals coming from Limpopo as South Africans are united in remembrance of David Sejobe, a very cherished security guard at MultiChoice, whose life was tragically cut short after he was struck by a vehicle in an alleged hit and run. And his unexpected passing has sent ripples of grief through the community, prompting heartfelt tributes across social media, from colleagues to friends, public figures, even strangers. And Sajob, who'd been he was a welcoming presence at MultiChoice headquarters in Randburg since 2015, was known for his infectious smile and the warmth with which he greeted everybody that he encountered, whether he knew them or he didn't. He treated the CEOs exactly the same way that he would treat interns or anyone else for that matter. And his role as a front house security officer went just beyond the call of duty. He overextended himself. I'm handing over now to my colleague, Zola Sholwana, who is at the funeral and covering for us live. Zola?
Well, Masachaba, those are visuals of some of the mourners that worked with David. And these are the people that got to see him every morning just before he starts his day. A man that was quite passionate about his job, passionate about life, Masachaba. I remember how he narrated how his mornings would usually go about. The fact that he would wake up at 3:30 in the morning and get ready to head out to Randburg and travel a distance of over 80 kilometers, cycling every single day, doesn't matter how the weather is. And he would get to his place of work, MultiChoice, and take a shower so he can prepare himself for a 12-hour shift. And that was a shift that made us fall in love with his character and get to know who this extraordinary human being was. David Masachaba was not just a security officer. He was a man that made us smile every morning. He was a man that brought joy in their lives. You could be having a bad morning, but once you see his face as he opens your boom gate at MultiChoice in the morning, and he would always want to know how you are feeling, and he would gladly tell you how his morning is looking like. There's never been a moment we have ever heard him say he's not well for whatever reason. He'd always be grateful for the gift of life, grateful that he's alive and well, grateful that he's able to report on duty and that he is healthy. The security guard has been celebrated across the country. Some knew him through social media platforms as he was also quite, present there. He interacted with some of his fans, sharing his story, his life journey, and also motivating people and telling them that happiness is free, happiness is a choice, and that happiness does not come at a cost. We're talking about a man who was quite multilingual. When you think about it, Masachaba, you speak to him in isiXhosa, he will respond. You speak to him in Hebrew, he'll be able to respond. I remember him sharing his experience in India and how he was able to interact with the people. For the lives that he has lived, he has traveled so much through something that was so dear to him, and that was cycling, going to different countries, different provinces. In one of his interviews, Masachaba, he was complaining about the fact that some of our roads in Johannesburg do not have the yellow line, or they do not accommodate people who are cycling. like other provinces or other cities like Cape Town, where he went there for cycling, and you realize that cycling is actually taken seriously that side, and that cyclists have their own roads. Now in Johannesburg, on the Golden Highway, the route that he used quite a lot, which took him 2 hours to get to work every single day. This man was on a bicycle for 4 hours a day, Masechaba. But that did not affect his mood in any way. He was always happy. He was always happy. And he was hoping that, perhaps government will reconsider this and think about them as cyclists, because he knows what cycling has done for him health-wise. He spoke about how he managed to overcome diabetes and how he was also able to overcome asthma as someone who was battling with asthma at a very young age. After he cycled in about 2 years, all of that, was gone. But more than anything else, what we're looking forward to is the tributes that will be coming from different people that have got to celebrate this man's life, people that have experienced him, as an individual, people who told us stories that if you were on duty with him on Sunday at work, you would then know that it means that you guys will be going through scriptures, the Bible, the whole day. And that was David Sejobe for you. Quite passionate about God. He'd always speak about how God changed his life and how he is where he was because of, God basically being present in his life, and how he would make reference to God's grace. Every morning when you ask him, Ntate o jwang, and his response would always be, by God's grace, I'm alive and well. And you would see him jumping, Masechaba, and motorists will be hooting towards his direction, acknowledging this face that was just in the front of the MultiChoice building. One wonders how everything is looking like currently at MultiChoice, Bram Fisher Drive. One wonders, the commuters that will be using that route, where will that get that big smile? Where will they get that excitement, that joy that led him to jump like a child when he sees a human being, just an ordinary human being? Those handshakes in the morning, those, hugs that he would give to people, cars hooting at him, all of that will be gone. And to be quite honest, no one will be able to fill those shoes. No one will have that capacity to become that David Sejobe, because there's only him who was able to have such an impact in our lives, Masechaba. We are waiting to hear from his friends, colleagues, his children, whom he loved so dearly. When he spoke about them, he'd say, I'm blessed with girls, beautiful girls. And all he wanted was to see them grow up and amount to something in life. You heard one of the daughters earlier on saying, the dad used to say to them, where I work, your peers are driving big cars, and this is what I wish for you in life. I wish you will get to a point where you study, complete your studies, and get a job that will allow you to live the life that I've always dreamed for you as your father. But unfortunately, those children will get to live and realize their dreams, but their father will not be there to witness all of that, witness what he had hoped to see as a father to girls. It was quite devastating for the wife, Masechaba, who spoke to us earlier on in the week, saying that when she heard that they found his staff card, she was hoping that she'll be told that at least he's been hospitalized and he's recovering, not to be told that her husband, the love of her life, took his last ride. And that is where it all ended, in an alleged hit-and-run incident. This man was a beacon of happiness, a beacon of hope and joy. His shift might have ended, Masechaba. He might have taken his last ride, but his joy remains in all of us. Back to you in studio.
Thanks very much, Newsroom Africa reporter Zola Sholwana, coming to us live from the funeral service of the late David Sejobe, security guard at MultiChoice headquarters since 2015.